In the heart of Umoma, a village nestled beneath the towering hills of the Igbo land, there lived a young woman named Ifeoma. She was a beauty, her dark skin radiant like polished ebony, her eyes sparkling with the wisdom of ages, even though she was only in her early 20s. But there was a mystery to Ifeoma, something the elders of the village could not explain. They whispered among themselves, calling her an Ogbanje, a child of misfortune who would never live long in one place. Ifeoma had been born under strange circumstances. Her mother, Adako, had suffered several miscarriages before giving birth to her. After Ifeoma's birth, she had survived infancy, but her life was marked by tragedy. Every time she grew too old to be a child, she fell ill with a strange fever. Each time the fever took her, her mother's heart broke anew, for she knew what would come next. The village diviner Nzogu had declared long ago that Ifeoma was an Ogbanje, a spirit child born to come and go, causing pain to those who loved her. But Ifeoma, as much as she could, tried to fight the fate that had been thrust upon her. She loved her mother deeply, and every time the fever took her, she would come back determined to be strong. But the others still shook their head in sorrow whenever they saw her. One day, as the sun set behind the hills, Ifeoma felt the fever rising again. This time, however, it was not just the familiar aching in her bones or the dizziness in her head. It was as though something far darker had come for her. She called to her mother, who was weaving a basket under the mango tree. Ifeoma, her mother said gently, knowing what was to come, you must go to the Ordinary Shrine. The Ordinary Shrine was a sacred place where the spiritual forces of the land were called upon. The elders believed that only the spirits of the ancestors could help an Ogbanje like Ifeoma to rid them of the cycle of life and death that plagued their existence. But Ifeoma hesitated. She had heard the stories of children who had gone to the shrine and never returned. The shrine was said to be a place where powerful forces tested the heart of those who dare seek its power. Many said it was only for those who truly wished to break free from their curse. I'm afraid, mother, Ifeoma said, tears in her eyes. What if they do not let me go this time? What if they hold me forever? Her mother, whose face was worn with the tears of grief, reached out and touched Ifeoma's cheek. You are strong, my daughter, stronger than I was. If you seek freedom, you must not fear the spirit. They will either take you or release you, but you must go to them willingly. With a heavy heart, Ifeoma stood, wiping the tears from her eyes. She knew what she had to do. As the moon rose high in the sky, Ifeoma walked through the dense forest, the sound of the night creatures filling the air. She reached the shrine, its ancient stone walls covered with vines, and entered. The air was thick with incense, and the spirits of the ancestors seemed to sway around her, watching in silence. Nzogu told me you seek release, a voice said from the shadows. Ifeoma turned to see the diviner standing at the entrance of the shrine. His eyes were filled with ancient knowledge. I do, she said, her voice trembling but strong. I seek release from this curse. I want to live for my mother. I want to break this cycle. The diviner nodded. You are strong, but know this. Ifeoma, to be freed, you must make a sacrifice. The Ogbanje spirit cannot be tamed without a price. Your life will change forever. Are you ready to pay? Ifeoma's heart pounded in her chest, but she nodded, determined. I am ready for my mother. I will do anything. The diviner stepped forward, taking a ritual knife in his hand. Then you must offer the blood of your past, the blood of the spirit that lives within you. Ifeoma closed her eyes, feeling the cold wind around her. She understood. It was not just her physical form that was being tested. It was the very spirit that had come and gone within her, that had been born to her soul. With one swift motion, the diviner caught her palm, and as her blood fell to the earth, the ground trembled. Ifeoma cried out in pain, but as the blood soaked into the soil, a powerful wind blew through the shrine and she felt something lifting from her. The next thing Ifeoma knew, she was lying on the ground outside the shrine. The stars above her clear and bright. The fever had vanished, and a strange sense of peace filled her. The voice of the ancestors whispered in the wind. She had been freed. The diviner stood beside her, smiling gently. The spirits have accepted your sacrifice. You are no longer bound by the curse of the Ogbanje. Live now, Ifeoma, and let your life be a blessing to your mother and to this village. With those final words, the diviner disappeared into the night, and Ifeoma made her way back home. The road ahead of her was uncertain, but for the first time, she felt hope stirring in her heart. The sun would rise again, and she would live. The village will never forget Ifeoma, the girl who broke free from the cycle of death and life, and her mother, Adako, would no longer cry for the daughter she had lost and found 1,000 times. They were free.